Hi, welcome to Left Foot Media. My name is Brendan Malone. As you have all heard by now, yesterday there was a truly awful and barbaric terror attack here in my home city, or just down the road from where I live now. But Christchurch, where this terror attack took place here in New Zealand, is my hometown. It's where I grew up. My wife and I, we live just outside of the city at the moment. If I was to get into a car, it would take me about 25-30 minutes to drive to the site of where these truly awful atrocities took place yesterday. So it's kind of very raw and very real for us down here, and it's certainly not something that we ever expected to be visited upon our shores here in New Zealand. I've been away all week working in another part of the country, and so I flew back home last night, back into Christchurch Airport, and I was really grateful actually to be able to get back in and land and to be able to reunite with my family, because as I understand it, a lot of flights were cancelled yesterday over fears around what this whole event might be and the unfolding nature of it. And so, as I understand it, there were a lot of people who weren't able to get back, or who weren't able to connect with loved ones yesterday. So I feel truly blessed to have been able to do that in such a sort of difficult and sombre set of circumstances as these. Coming back home last night, I arrived home. I went and sat with my kids. They were in bed, but I just went in there and sat and talked with those who were still awake, and we had a chat about a few things and what they knew about the events. I hugged my wife, gave her a kiss, and I was really grateful to be home. I was grateful to be with my kids, because the simple fact is that just down the road from us yesterday, a whole lot of families were the victim of this massacre, and they have lost their loved ones, and today they are not there to hug and they are not there to kiss. And in the face of this truly confronting and horrific act of terror that took place in my hometown yesterday, I didn't know what else to do. So I sat down with a pen and a paper, and in an act of catharsis, I wrote a song, as I said, just to sort of, I guess, an act of cathartic attempting to try and sort of get my head around and put some thoughts down about how I feel about this. And so for what it's worth, I want to finish this video today by leaving you with that song. I sat down last night and just recorded it quickly on my phone, and I leave it here for you for what it's worth. Before I get to the song though, just a couple of things. Please, I don't deserve any sympathy comments in the comment section. I'm not a victim of this. I'm someone who lives close by where these events happened. I'm a citizen of the country where this took place yesterday, and it's truly awful and it's truly shocking, and just the horror of it is very real for us, but I'm not a victim of this. I was not harmed. No one that I know was harmed or killed, but a lot of people in our city were yesterday, and those are the people who deserve our sympathy and our prayers and our focus and our attention. And so please, I'm not interested in stealing any of their grief. So please, direct your prayers and your thoughts to those people and to those families, not to me. The other thing I'd say is this: if you haven't already done it, I'd encourage you to actually to get off social media for a day or so, because right now this issue is just consuming social media the world around. And there is a lot of, there's basically a social hysteria going on, I think. And there's a lot of people who are getting themselves worked up over this issue, and there's all sorts of comments flying around about this issue. And there's effectively the guy who perpetrated this act of terror yesterday, he wrote in his manifesto that he wanted to create this very sort of divisive and dysfunctional, effectively like a civil war type environment amongst us in the West. And we don't want to give him the pleasure of knowing that he's done that. So I would say get off social media. It's not helpful. You're not going to find anything on social media that's going to help you to process and get through this crisis, I would argue. What you're better off doing is getting off social media. Go and spend some time loving your family. Spend time with your wife, your kids, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mum, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your associates. And if you haven't got any of those, ring up the local soup kitchen or the local homeless shelter this weekend and ask what you can do to come down and volunteer and give them some practical help. But whatever you do, get off social media and spend some time in the real world, engaged in acts of self-giving love and connecting and forming genuine community with the people around you. Because if you do that, number one, that is the best form of therapy and processing these kind of events. And secondly, it might just help us to recognise and to be reminded of what actually is so great about the West and the whole project of Christendom, which lies at the heart of the West, and the concept of Christian virtue, self-giving love, love for neighbour, and this idea of humility and caring for other people. Because if we do that, we will build genuine community. And I would argue that's really the one thing that we are, I mean, there's a lot of things that are not right in the West at the moment, but that's the one thing I would say that we are really missing is an attitude and a connection with others that begins from a place of humility and a willingness to actually give of ourselves to seek their good and not just our own. So get off social media, spend some time actually doing that, and you'll be far better off for having done that. In the meantime, I leave you with the song for what it's worth. It's called 15:3, and it's my thoughts about this massacre that happened yesterday in my hometown of Christchurch here in New Zealand. And I've put the lyrics in the video description below, so you can check those out there as well. I'll see you soon on Left Foot Media.
There can be peace in the world, but we gotta fight for it. There can be peace in the world, even amidst the violence. There can be love in the world, but we gotta live it. There can be love in the world, even amidst the vilest hate. But a million platitudes on a Facebook page ain't gonna cut it. And 1,000 talking heads on the media ain't gonna get us there. It only begins when we stop bothering the other. It only begins when we prize our common humanity above all else. There can be peace in this world, but we gotta fight for it inch by inch. There can be peace in this world, even amidst the violence. There can be love in this world, but we gotta live it with more than words. There can be love in the world, even amidst the vilest hate. But a million platitudes on a Facebook page just won't cut it. And 1,000 talking heads in the media ain't gonna get us there. It only begins when we make lovers of truth, beauty, and goodness. It only begins with solidarity and humility. you.